It's a hot afternoon here in Toronto as you are watching and listening to Black Wellness on Radio Regent at www.radioregent.com. We're here in downtown Toronto, and we are live from the Radio Regent studios down here. So we'd like to thank you so much. We'd like to thank all of our listeners and our listening audience for supporting us throughout the months of May and June, where we focused on mental health. Going into the summer months for July and August, we're going to be focusing on our physical wellness, especially the physical wellness of the Black community and the African diaspora from around the world. So to kick it off, we are going to be talking about the sunshine vitamin and its importance to the Black community especially. So I am your host, Giselle Wilson, and I have here with me today Hilsa Blackwood. She is a healthcare professional who works for an international naturopathic doctor here in Toronto, and she's here championing the cause of the sunshine vitamin. Thank you, Hilsa, for being on our show today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Give us a little intel on your background and why you are championing the cause of vitamin D.
Well, let me start off. Where do I start? The beginning, of course.
The beginning. Of course.
Well, first of all, I'm from Jamaica. I was born in the island of Jamaica. I came here since I was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And since being here many, many years, the sun was my favorite thing back home.
Of course.
You know.
That's what makes up the Caribbean.
That's right. favorite thing. And since coming here, I realized I was always depressed. I was always depressed, and especially during the fall and winter months.
Right.
But nobody explained to us people of color that it's because we're lacking the vitamin D3.
Wow.
Right? And, you know, I'll speed it up a little bit further.
Of course.
I didn't know about vitamin D3 until 2013.
Okay.
You know, I was working in a medical practice, and you know, I'm always reading things that are on the doctor's desk, and it said something about African people needs vitamin D3 the most compared to everybody else. Everyone needs vitamin D3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's important for each individual cells of the body.
That's right.
However, it's more important, especially for us, people of color, to be using vitamin D3.
That is right.
Right? And not just in the winter months. We need it all year round, especially us people who's in the northern hemisphere, you know, America,
that's right,
Canada,
right,
because we don't get enough sunlight.
That's right.
And even if we do get enough sunlight, we're not outside.
There you go. And I think to reinforce that, when you're looking at the northern hemisphere, we're a weathered environment, and so we have shorter spans of daylight throughout the fall and the winter.
Correct.
And then it increases once you're north of the equator during the spring and summer months. And I guess it compromises a lot of things for us. And I know, being born here in Toronto in Canada, I have to be very conscious of my level of vitamin D, just being born here. And I was doing a bit of research about vitamin D and its importance to people of African descent. First of all, vitamin D is a very, very important vitamin. As I introduced, it is a sunshine vitamin because the body manufactures it once it's exposed to sunlight.
That's
so
right.
This is why it's very important, and I always say it's very good to participate in environmental exercise and to do activities outside, whether it's walking, sitting, playing outside. It's good to get some exposure outside so that your body can generate and make the vitamin D. Now, from what I understand as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, vitamin D is very important to the production, and it helps with calcium and phosphorus in our system. And those two minerals are definitely important for, I think everyone knows, healthy bones, healthy teeth. It also helps with, from what I found, immunity. It helps with our immunity, fighting of diseases. It also aids in our moods. It also aids in warding off depression and anxiety. So it has multiple uses in the body. And I know that we talk a lot about vitamin D and African Canadians, African Americans, and those from around the world, and why we are deficient, not only because of the sunlight, but also because of we are melanated people.
That's right.
And our melanin, and you could go into this, is a very very powerful chemical in our body, and it actually protects us from the UV rays.
That's right. So we don't need sunscreen.
We don't need sunscreen, though we still are susceptible to skin cancers, but we have that protection against the UV rays from skin cancer.
That's right.
But the flip side to that is that the melanin also protects from that vitamin D, so we can't absorb it as quickly.
That's right.
Okay, as other people of lighter shades, so therefore we can take the sun for longer periods of time, right?
Because, you know, a Caucasian person will go outside within 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
They're good.
Correct.
Their vitamin D levels gone through the roof.
Right.
However, for us people of color, we need 65 hours per week.
Wow.
Yes.
Of sunlight exposure.
That's right. And
I'm seeing that we need 3 to 5 times more sunlight exposure than those of lighter tones.
That's right. So, and the darker your skin tone is the more vitamin D that you need.
There you go.
Right?
So I want to ask you a question. So we're talking about and endorsing going outside. What are the differences between the synthetic form or the bottle form? So you could take vitamin D in liquid form versus the natural production from the sun. Is it different? Is it the same?
It's as I said, for us people of color, we're not going to be sitting outside for 65 hours.
That's true. That's the reality.
We're not.
Right.
So that's why it's very important for us to supplement.
Right.
And not just the D3 alone.
Right.
We need to have the K2.
Okay.
Because,
so explain all of these terminologies. Basically, you're saying there's D3, which to me you can differentiate between what? D1, D2, D3. Like, what are all these Ds? And what's the difference?
A lot of it is, number one, the D3
Yes.
is more of a natural base.
Okay.
Right? Because you could get it from animal.
Right.
Right?
Oh, I see.
Right? So the
Animal
D3,
sources.
yeah,
Right.
so the D3 with the K2 helps to absorb much better into the body. That's why it prevents of cancer.
Right.
You know, calcification of the arteries.
Wow.
Okay, so that's why, you know, we always tell people make sure you're using your vitamin D3 with K2 because the D3 alone just sits in the liver.
Okay.
Right. So you need the K2 to balance it and to, you know,
move it
move it around the body.
Okay.
Right? So it's very, very important.
Talk a little bit more too about, you mentioned vitamin D and mood.
Oh, yes. Yeah, as I was saying a little bit before.
Yeah.
The fall months from October to March, for over 20 years, I suffered with depression.
Wow.
Bad depression, right? I've lost jobs, friends, family, I mean, you name it, because I just didn't understand what was happening to my body, to my mind. In the summertime, I'm the best friend to have. Wintertime, forget it.
Wow. It's that drastic.
Yes, it was that drastic.
Wow, that's
and
incredible.
Since using this vitamin D3 with the K2 almost 2 years ago, I have not suffered not one single depression.
Wow. So it's so important. I guess that works on a mental level as well. So
Yes,
vitamin
it
D
does.
interacts with the brain.
That's right, the serotonin.
Okay, so it kicks in those hormones,
That's
the
right.
happy hormones.
That's right,
that
exactly.
makes us smile and be happy regardless of the weather.
And also too, you know, I'm a woman that's going through menopause.
And what are the effects? Do you need more or less?
You need more because to balance out the moods as well. Once again, it's the mood, the immune system. And as we're getting older, the calcium is leaching from our bones. So with the vitamin D3 and the K2, it helps to absorb it much better within the body. Because I was feeling pain in my knees, in my hips, and since using the vitamin D3 and with the K2, all those pains are gone.
We have a sample right here. So
Yes.
this is, talk a little bit about this product. So, it has the K2 within it.
That's right.
So this here, let me just let people know. For those who don't know, this product is done by Raw Food Nutrition and Herbal Remedies. So
Correct.
this is their brand. And it contains vitamin D3 plus the K2 that Hilsa was talking about, plus the A.
Yes, and
How
the
does A interact with
the
that?
A is great for the eyesight.
Okay.
Because we find people are suffering nowadays more with eye issues.
Right.
glaucoma.
That's right.
Right? So this really helps with the eyesight and, of course, the skin.
That's right.
Because everybody wants to have a beautiful glowing skin.
Beautiful glowing skin.
Right? And it also helps to reduce some cancers, at least 80 different cancers.
Wow.
Right? When we have people get cancer, right? Like for instance, there's a young lady that she was diagnosed 7 months ago from breast cancer.
Okay. A young lady, meaning under 40?
Well, I would say young because I'm close up to that age there. But, she was almost 60, right? She didn't look it. She looked like she was in her 30s and her 40s. Yes. And so sad, she passed on.
No way.
Yes, because we're not having enough D3 in our bodies.
How do we judge this? Because we have so much messages bombarded on the media. We try and read. Like, how do you know how to have your diet and supplement? What are your thoughts on supplementation?
Well, for me, I'm a supplement girl. Okay. I love to supplement.
Because there's like an argument between the purpose of supplementation versus not having any vitamins.
I prefer to supplement because nowadays, as you know, the foods don't have anything.
Right, that's true.
Right? It's all chemical based, right? So you have to find ways of supplementing it and getting the good nutrition in your body.
Right.
The enzymes, the vitamins, the minerals. So I like to supplement. I know the difference. I feel the difference in my body when I do supplement.
And how much do you take, for example, of vitamin D? You take it daily, right?
You take it daily for people of non-Africans.
Right.
Right? They could use 1,000 international units per day.
Okay.
For us, just for maintenance, 5,000 international units per day.
Is 1,000 equivalent to one drop, or how many drops? Like I take it, and I normally take it per drops, and it really depends on how I feel. Like if I'm feeling low, meaning sick and feverish, you'd increase it versus when you're feeling to maintain.
Well, I don't know if people could see this here.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so right here, you see that one.
So there's a measurement on the
dropper. There's a measurement that says 1.0, so that's 1,000 international units.
Okay.
Right, so for us now, we would take 5 of that. In other words, 1 tablespoon.
Okay.
1 tablespoon just
per day.
Per day, just for regular maintenance. Let's say, for instance, when I was suffering with the arthritis, my hips, my knees, I took 2 tablespoons per day, right? And once the pain subside, I went back down to 1 tablespoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for
those for cancer, 4 tablespoons per day, because that's why they got cancer in the first place.
Right.
Because their body was lacking the vitamin D3.
Deficient.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those who want to evaluate their level of vitamin D,
they go to the doctor.
And we endorse going to your naturopathic doctor. They're very invaluable in your life. So just consult a practitioner, and they could, do the measurements. They could do a checkup for you and see whether or not you're deficient. It's something that you should ask your practitioner for sure.
And also, to be honest, when you go and get all those tests from the medical doctors, before the vitamin D testing was free for us people of color.
Really?
Yes, in Ontario it was. I don't know about outside of Ontario, Canada, but in Ontario it was free for us.
Why?
Right? Because they knew. They knew the importance of the vitamin D3 for us. Right? Now, that's not the case anymore.
That is very interesting.
Yes, that's not the case anymore.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, now we have to pay for it now.
And it's our responsibility to know when and where we're deficient.
Yes.
Okay, so this is quite interesting.
Yes.
For those who are just tuning in, I'm talking to Hilsa Blackwood, and you're listening to Black Wellness on Radio Regent. You can check us out online at Support Black Wellness Now on Facebook. We're now also on YouTube, and so you can check us out at Black Wellness. So just key in Black Wellness so you can see all of our episodes. We're talking here about the importance of vitamin D to the Black community, especially because we're finding more and more in North America that we are deficient.
And they know that.
Yeah.
They know that. They say to us.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, today a lady came to see in the clinic, and, she was having a conversation with the doctor there. And her doctor said to her, oh, yeah, everybody's deficient.
Right.
Yeah, everybody's deficient.
And they just accept that.
And they just accept it. However, that's why we, people of color, is suffering.
Right.
Because once our levels is high up there, we can deal with the life a little bit much better.
Exactly.
Right? So because, as I said before, mental illness, number one for us people of color, especially these young people, they're suffering because there's no nutrients in the foods that they're eating. McDonald's, blah, 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 blah. All those processed foods, right? So once they start using the vitamin D3, well, I'll touch on my son. My son is 28 years old.
Please.
Right? And I gave him a bottle. And since I gave him that bottle, he sees a difference in his skin because, everybody's a little bit vain. They want their skin to look nice, right? And the pimples has gone down a lot.
Right.
And, of course, his mood, right? So every month he says, Mom, I need my bottle of vitamin D3.
Wow.
And that's a young man who's 28 years old.
So he's gotten into the habit and the practice of taking his vitamin D every single day. And this is in addition to going outside.
Of course, definitely.
Okay. When should you take it? Should you take it in the morning? Do you take vitamin D with food?
I take it any time of the day. But for some people say it gives them energy. Right? So for them, I would say, well, take it whenever it's best for you because some people work at nights, right? So if you work at night, then you'll take it at night to give you that energy.
Okay.
You could take it with food because it's an oil.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, but for me, with food, without food, I just take it because I know the benefits.
Because I understand it's fat soluble.
That's
so
right.
it's a fat soluble vitamin. So that's why you could take it with food.
That's right.
As opposed to vitamin C, which is water soluble.
That's right.
Yeah. So normally it's through liquids.
Yes.
I'm learning. I'm learning.
And with this one, liquid is always the best to take. And the reason why it goes straight to the bloodstream much faster.
Straight to the bloodstream.
Yes.
Okay.
And with this one here, it's uniquely created. I mean, it's for everyone, but it's uniquely created for us people of color.
Right.
Yes.
So we're going to post all of that information at our Facebook and on our YouTube. So you'll definitely find out where to get all of this. You can get it online. You can get it in person here in the Toronto area. So I'm supposing that it's available across Canada or North America.
In the Toronto area.
In the Toronto area. Okay, so we'll give you all the information of how you could get your vitamin D. And this is a fascinating conversation, so we definitely want to learn more. What other food sources that have vitamin D?
Mushrooms. I love my mushrooms.
I love mushrooms too.
Yes.
I put it on everything. Oh, I love it. I love it on my pizza. I love it alone. I love it in rice, anything.
Yes.
So mushrooms, they have a high concentration of vitamin D.
But I personally prefer this because, as I said before, I've noticed a difference in my own body, my son, other people who's using it. And with this brand here as well, with the Raw Food Nutrition brand, people who's gray, it's turning their gray black.
Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
You're kidding.
No, it's the quality that she used to create this, right? There's nothing on the market like this. I could tell you that much.
And is it all natural, like coming from natural sources?
All natural.
Oh, okay.
All natural.
Very, very interesting. It's a big bottle too. It's a 120 milliliter bottle. What do you think about vitamin D sources coming from fish, like salmon?
Oh, that's fine.
It's fine?
That's fine. If you're not a vegan, right?
Right.
But I mean, I eat my fish.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I just wanted to know, because I know salmon, they say is high in mercury or like those
Well, it all
types
depends
of concerns.
It depends on where you're getting your salmon, right? And where it comes from, right? The
So
wild one.
Wild Pacific?
Yes.
As opposed to the
Atlantic.
Okay. So for those who don't know, the difference between the wild Pacific and the Atlantic, as far as we know, the Atlantic is normally farmed.
Yes.
So it's within a pool and it's not manufactured, it's not generated very well. So it contains a lot more chemicals than the Pacific Wild, which is usually bigger, and they're free range. So
That's
there's free range salmon. So it's supposedly
it does taste different. It does.
Definitely.
And,
Well, my brother lives out west.
And the color is so different.
Right.
Oh, yes.
And it's so funny because when you go to restaurants, they normally have the Atlantic salmon. Very few have the Pacific. So when you're going out there and buying, kind of take note of where your salmon, where all your foods are coming from. We really endorse reading labels because if you cannot pronounce the words, if you don't know the product, the ingredients that are in your foods, then probably it's not really good for you to use. So as much as possible, try and have more natural sources. We endorse vegetables and fruits, those that are organic, those that are homegrown. You could grow grow these foods yourself.
That's right.
You can have your urban farms on your balcony. You can go to local farms and, know where your food is coming from. That's the biggest thing. And then get your regular checkups and recognize where you are deficient, because it could really affect you critically. Like we're talking about mood. Talk a little bit about your experience with depression and how vitamin D affects anxiety as well. So it's on both ends of the spectrum when it comes to mood.
Yeah, because when my body was low, so that's why I was feeling the way that I was feeling.
What were the signs? What did you experience in your depression?
What did I experience? Didn't want to work, didn't want to sleep, or I slept too much, or, didn't want to bathe, tried to commit suicide 2 or 3 times throughout the years. That's how really bad it was, seriously. So when I start using this, this is heaven to me. So I'm always, any black person I see, I make sure I tell them, are you taking your vitamin D3? Oh, here's my flyer, because I see the difference.
Wow.
And not just with me personally. As I said, I work in a clinic.
Right.
So, young people come there as well. And once they start using this, big difference to their life.
Now that you said something very important in terms of our mental health. We mentioned that we think of mental health as kind of a cultural thing that we experience overtly, but we don't really see how our health and nutrition, meaning what we eat and, like you said, supplementation and the lack of certain vitamins and minerals affect our mind, affect our mental health, and contribute to depression, especially when you're under stress, when the exterior situations are coming down on you, how you process them and how you deal with them. I know that because sometimes when I read the reports, I don't know how I feel. Sometimes it's like a two-edged sword because when they come up with reports about our level of mental health, I don't want to make it seem like we're crazy on one end, but on the other hand, we have to take note of it because we've gone through so much in terms of our history, the history of slavery, the history of immigration, the history of just assimilating into the society and things like that, and the pressure it takes and how we always feel that we really don't belong, but we're trying to belong.
That's right.
And be accepted. There's so many themes that we experience in our lifetime.
As somebody said to me today, it's hard being a black person.
It is.
It's really and truly because as soon as you step out that door, your defenses are up.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what that next person's going to do. I'm a woman and a cop has said to me before, if I don't get the F out of the area, this is when I was younger, mind you, like 30 years ago. If I don't get the F out of the area, they're going to plant drugs on me. Right? And I'm a black woman. So if he's saying that to me, what is he doing to my black man? He's planting the drugs. Right? So it's very challenging for us black people.
It is.
So, and the next thing is we're not coming together like how we used to before. Like, my mom came here in the 70s and, you would see a next black person on the street. You would say, oh my gosh, come home with me. And they would cook and everything. And those things is not happening.
Wow.
Right. So it's not just one thing. It's a lot of things. But what you are doing here, coming together, building the community through this, it's a start.
Well, we're thinking that, some of the key issues with the community, number one, is lack of education. It's awareness not only of the system and how it functions, but what they should do and how they should take ownership of their health. So we really champion the cause of taking ownership.
That's right.
Our second important goal is to build that network. So along with different organizations that you're a part of, that I'm a part of, it's really to get our practitioners together. And our professionals together because we really believe in culturally appropriate foods as well as certain health issues and concerns that we have. They have to be dealt with in a particular way because for so long we've been excluded from the standards of the healthcare system. They haven't brought us to the table and there are some issues just like vitamin D, just like our hair, especially when it comes to black women, and we've had shows on this in terms of our prevalence of thyroids, the way we approach cancers because we're one of the higher groups that experience, especially women's cancers, are quite high, cervical and breast cancer. And it's not that it happens more or less occurrence than anybody else, but it's just our trust of the system and how we get in time, how we get the supports in time and the specialists. Sometimes we're marginalized. We're removed from the people that we need to see in order to make the cancers better at the right phase, right? So there's so many layers to our experience that we're sharing here on this platform, and that we're not only letting our community know, but other communities, the wider society, so they can truly understand where we're coming from and how we can, have an exchange of ideas so that we can make better systems in the world.
That's right. Yeah. Dialogue.
Dialogue. It's number one. So once again, you're listening to Black Wellness on Radio Regent. And we're just going to take a bit of a break here. We have a special guest that has come into the studio, and we would like to include him on the conversation as well. So we thank Hilsa for coming in and championing the cause for vitamin D. We're going to talk about it a little more. But we are going to bring in someone from our athletic community. We want to champion the cause of physical wellness for the summer months, for July, August, and September, as it relates to the Black community. So we'll be right back in a few minutes. We are back, and you're listening to Black Wellness on Radio Regent. I'm your host, Giselle Wilson, and I'm here with Hilsa Blackwood, who just told us her story about vitamin D, the importance to the Black community, and what it has done for her life in terms of mood, menopause. We've learned so much. So we really endorse everybody getting their vitamin D supplementation, especially vitamin D3. Very, very important. So please visit your practitioner, because we as a community, as a culture, we are deficient in North America. We're not getting enough sun. And the sunlight is what we need. Our body naturally produces vitamin D. So we're going to leave a lot of information on our platforms on Facebook, Support Black Wellness Now, as well as YouTube. And it's entitled Black Wellness. So as you can see, we have an addition to the room. We brought in a very handsome man, because there's just too much feminine energy in here. So I have to my left Mr. Andre Rose, and he is, as you can tell, a personal trainer. So he is a fitness trainer. He also has a underwear line that I'm very curious to find out about. And so we're going to transition the conversation from vitamin D into wellness. As I was telling you, we're celebrating physical wellness of the Black community for the months of July, August, and September. So let us know, graduating that conversation, how vitamin D helps on a physical level in terms of performance.
First of all, thank you so much for having me, and thank you to your audience for the opportunity to speak to you on fitness and Black wellness. Actually, vitamins is very important. It's like everything, because if you're not taking your vitamins during your process of training and stuff, then what's happening is that the joints are not being utilized properly. You're not getting your extra stretches you need, whether it is your B12, your zinc, your magnesium, your vitamin D, and all of those different stuff. And I find for me, over the years of doing fitness, which my book also speak a lot on vitamins and all of those different areas and the importance of it. And it helps with the aging properly as well too. It helps with the dieting as well.
Yes.
Because if you're eating and you're not taking the natural vitamins to help with the maintenance of the body, then what's happening is that the processed food that we're eating is actually going to be stored in the body and not being detoxified properly. So vitamins help in a very different ways. Currently now I'm taking up to 12 different types of vitamins.
Really?
Yes. 12 different types of vitamins I'm taking currently. Actually, I'm just 40 years old. I became 40.
Wow, congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I became 40 on Tuesday.
Okay.
When I say that, people don't believe that.
I don't believe it.
You don't look it.
Yeah, people don't believe.
Fabulous,
Thank you. People don't believe that, I became 40 years old, because I've seen the benefit of exercise, I've seen the benefit of vitamins, and I've seen the benefits of even staying mentally well, because that helps a great deal in your overall lived experience.
That's right. And were you born in North America? Were you born in the Caribbean?
I was born in Jamaica.
You're born in Jamaica.
I was born in Jamaica in 1979, and I came to Canada in 2011.
Okay.
And from there on, I just keep progressing forward, because I understand that being here gives us an opportunity to just move forward, because there's so much opportunity here.
Oh yes.
If you are driven, if you're desirable, if you have that will determination, anything that you seek is seeking you.
That's right.
So it's just that you just have to go after it, and they're not going to be everyone that you're going to find that's going to support you. You don't focus on those people who are not supporting you. Focus on those people who always, be there for you. As my friend Elaine Robinson would say, find those people who support you.
That's right.
You get your villagers.
That's right.
And I love that story from her, your villagers. And if you find your villagers and you stick with those people, then what it does for you is that it enhances you in a more better way. That's what I've done over the time since I've been here.
And why do you champion the cause of physical wellness? How did you get into personal training?
Well, I really don't classify myself as a personal trainer. I classify myself as a fitness and wellness professional.
Okay.
I've been doing fitness for the past 20 years. I started when I was 21, going 22. But I'll say 18 years, but I think probably because in the concept of also raising Jamaica, fitness has always been our
true.
Because I used to do track and field, but fitness, like sculpting my body, started when I was 22 years old, and that started out of where my boss at the time, I was working in a retail store, and my boss at the time decided that he was going to send us to the gym because we were too slow, so he sent us 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. He was going to send us to the gym so we can speed up production.
Okay.
I went into this gym, and I just fell in love with the exercise. I fell in love with the exercise, and there's this one time I met this girl, and she said, "Oh, you're too short, man. I want a tall man." I was like, and it hurt my own ego and my feelings. I was like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna work and I'm gonna create this body nicely. That one day you're gonna see it, and it happened. And over a period of time, and for the last 18 years, going 19 years, I've been sculpting my body, and I've seen the difference in all of that, and the whole concept of me getting into it, where my boss decided that, and then I just continued.
That's amazing. Yeah. How do you see, Hilsa, vitamin D interacting with physical fitness?
Oh well, Andre just said it. It's very important.
Yeah.
Right. He just finished saying it, that the muscles, the joints. Right. So even when you finish working out or before working out, you're taking your vitamin D. It helps.
Definitely.
With the lubrication with the bones and the joints.
Right. And you take your supplements in addition to your diet, meaning your regime for eating. I hate using that word diet.
Yeah.
I don't like diet.
Neither do I.
That word, I mean, it already has the word die.
That's right. You're going to die.
So it's not really good.
so like on a specific day, my bigger vision that I have is around men's health and men with prostate cancer.
Ooh, right place.
Yes. Because men of color, 99% of men of color don't like to have their prostate checked.
That's right, especially Jamaican men.
Especially Jamaican
men.
My grandfather died from, why? Because of that, they don't like the finger.
That's right.
My grandfather passed away from prostate cancer, and my book is dedicated to him, and I wrote a great deal in the book around him and, his suffering, what I saw, and, the ailments, and all of those different things, and why men generally don't like to have their prostate checked.
That's right.
And the whole notion around not having a prostate check is that's who you die faster. You die in your 60s, your 70s from that ailment, because if you're able to know what your baseline is at an early age, say 45, even though the doctors don't recommend it until 50 for you to have your baseline, but I believe that if you have your baseline in your early 40s, say 45, then you're able to treat it as you're aging.
So that's why in the 40s they recommend men.
Actually, now they're saying for black men, 35 years old.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, to get their prostate checked.
Wow. What is the importance of the prostate to the body? Can you, so we're just want to be rudimentary, for purposes of me even knowing. Yeah. What does the prostate do for men, and why is it so susceptible and vulnerable to cancer?
So the prostate is like a walnut. It's as small as a walnut.
Okay.
Right?
And
so
where is it located?
It's located between the pelvic and under the within the balls area.
Yeah.
So within that area, what happens is that just as how women would have their breast cancer, it's the same kind of an illness that will happen to men as well.
Okay.
Chances are it's in a sense where it's higher risk if you don't have getting the prostate at an early age to find out exactly how is it going, and if it's actually growing, just like how the when the
Okay.
woman will go on to find out if the mammogram will show whether or not, you know,
You have lumps and things
right.
like that.
So it's the same thing with the man, where you will go and you will find out how you will find in the terms of doing the finger, what the sizes are and those different
Right.
stuff, and then from that, how enlarged it's getting, right?
Okay.
And there are the different symptoms in how to find those, which is drying of the mouth, just like if you have diabetes, you have the drying of the mouth. If you're peeing and then you find that you're having the burning sensation at the tip of the penis, then that's a sign that you're having or you have prostate. Or when you're peeing and if the pee is not going straight, that's also symptoms as well that you're having dripping. So it's like they'll call it, in Jamaica, my grandmother call it stoppage of water.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
You call it stoppage of water,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's a process which is coming to say that something is definitely wrong with the prostate. You need to go. That's symptoms to show.
Wow.
If you're driving as a man, you're driving and you're feeling that excessive back pain as well too, that's a sign.
Okay.
If you're having within the crotch, that's a sign that you're active skin prostate.
Wow.
Prostate
And because
cancer.
it's happening in such a vulnerable region,
Yes.
it's hard. I could see how it's hard for men to communicate
Yes.
the signs when they're going through that and how they feel emotionally communicating that they're having issues in
Well,
that area.
ego, right? Ego. I mean, and we women, we talk about everything.
Of course, they
Right?
teach us from when we're teens how to check our breasts and how
That's
to be
right,
checking constantly to make sure that there's
They
no
don't
lumps
teach
or-
men to talk about these things with one another. So this is the next thing that we empower. Like I sell a product that's called Magistral as well. So I'm glad that we're here together
Yes,
talking
it's
about
all
this.
divine.
Yes, it is.
It's all divine.
Right? And it helps saw palmetto.
Help.
That's right. Helps with
Palmetto.
and zinc.
Yes.
Right? It helps with the prostate. Helps to reduce it. So
Okay.
yes, please do go and check. But what are you using for prevention?
Mhm.
Right?
And prevention
prevention,
is the
we
key.
brush our teeth, right? Even though we might get a cavity here and there, but we still brush our teeth.
Right.
So it's all about prevention,
Right.
right? And utilizing the right things.
Well, that's wonderful that you've observed from your own family
Yeah.
experience, and now that you're making others aware of the importance of getting checked, knowing the signs. And in your book, I guess you talk about that
Yes.
experience in relations to, like you said, men's health, especially men's health in cultural communities, where the communication in terms of getting checked is always is an issue kind of thing. Platforming from that, so you also have an underwear line. You're a very interesting gentleman.
I am,
want to
actually.
know more. Here it is. I think he's
Yes.
sporting his
And the
line.
cover of the book.
Yes,
And the book.
and the
Yes.
book. So yes, women, we might have you back for another conversation. We
So-
gotta talk about
so now-
sexuality and you seem to be very comfortable
Yeah.
with yourself,
I
which is
am.
a good
I'm
thing.
gay.
You're sorry?
I'm gay.
Wow.
So-
you're very comfortable.
Very
Yeah,
comfortable.
I'm comfortable
Good
with
for you.
myself.
Okay.
Yeah, it took me some time to get here, but you know, I
And how was that discovery? Especially being okay. So now I like to hit. I like to hit. So now you mentioned okay, you're gay,
Yes.
homosexual. How does that work within a culture that is learning how to deal with that? Especially the Jamaican culture, especially any culture.
it was tough at the beginning. I knew actually I was when I was 9 years old. There was just something that was somewhat different about me.
Interesting.
And it was when my grandmother actually sent me to go live with my granduncle. And I was in the house, and for some reason he just didn't want me to sleep in my own bed. He wanted me to sleep in his bed. So I was like, okay, there's something is definitely wrong with this. And which I talk about in the book as well too. Over a period of time, then I realized that I was more comfortable being around men, even though in my household there was no men that was in my household.
Wow.
It was just pure women. I was only with women. My grandmother, my grandfather died at an early age with the prostate.
Right.
After that, then it was my sister, my aunts, my cousins, and all girl in the house. And over time, I just became uncomfortable with myself.
Right.
Because I just didn't know how, and the mere factor was when I talk about when they said that the girl told me that I was too short. It was
That's
like
right.
okay, so my ego was crushed somewhat,
Right.
Wow.
and out of that too, I continued, and at 17 years old, I told my mom at 17 that I think I'm gay. And she's like,
What was her reaction?
It was challenging. It was very challenging, but I can tell you just this week I went to get breadfruit, ackee and mangoes and lasco and all those stuff that she sent for me from Jamaica. So we have mushroomed in our relationship. I've mushroomed with my father, with my relationship, my family. They're comfortable with me, and because they look beyond the sexuality and see me as a person and see the value that I think that I bring.
Right.
You know, and I think one of the reasons why I am so driven too is I'm not sure if it's probably as you're saying when you leave your house.
Yeah.
You know, there's a guard that put up already.
Yes.
So for me with my sexuality is that it's a reason for me to prove that I am. You know, so I look at
You
fitness,
excel.
yeah, I look at my own everything as me taking care of a home.
Right.
You know, because as a friend said to me, Andre, I think that you have everything going for you, but you're searching for something and you're searching for somewhere as a house or a home or something.
Right.
Because in the early age, at 20, my mom put me out at 20. You know, she's like, oh, you know, you have to leave. Even though I wasn't living with her, but I was spending some time with her and she put me out. And from then it's been that way. I came to Canada, and when I came to Canada I was put out twice too. You know, so overall it went on, and then I just decided that after when I started to do self-development was really what brought me to the state of my own consciousness, because I felt as if I was lost. And you know, even though when I came to Canada I said I wanted to be an underwear model, was one of the reasons why I left Jamaica.
Okay.
When I was working in the retail store with my boss, he would send us to, because at the time I was a sales buyer as well, so I was leave Jamaica, go to the United States and became a sales buyer, and I would buy underwear and all of those stuff. And then I started to see these guys on the underwear cover, and I was like,
I could do
I
that.
wanna, yeah, I was like, I want to do that. I want to be one of those boys. And I left, and I came to Canada in 2011, and when I came, I decided that with the idea that I wanted to be an underwear model, but when I came and I started to do self-development, and I bought this book called by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
When I read the book Think and Grow Rich, I read the book Think and Grow Rich, and it became more deeper to me. I felt something deeper. I was taking my shower, and all I could see was the title Think and Grow Rich. And then the idea came to me is that why is it that you're gonna try to be an underwear model for someone else when they can create your own? And that's how the idea came about.
Wow, look at that.
Wow. So
4
tell
years
us a little
ago.
bit more. Yeah.
4 years ago, I started the line. 2015, I started the line. I got it into 5 retail stores.
And it's exclusively for men?
Exclusive for men now. And I have the Toronto 5 fighters that I want some of my models that model it in their calendar, their yearly calendar.
Yes.
So I got it into now I ship as far as Germany.
Wow.
I ship United States. I have it in a store in the United States and so forth. So it started out of me just having an idea where it became like, well, I'm wearing my own underwear because I don't wear nobody else's except my own. I create it. It's locally made.
We would hope not. You know?
It's locally made. It's made from bamboo fiber because when I started to do the research around underwear and what kind of quality underwear I could find that was beneficial to men. I find that bamboo fiber was the best type of underwear to wear because what it does too, with the same crotch area, it helps with the breathability.
That's right. Because instead of polyester.
When
you don't breathe, it's plastic.
When you're wearing the bamboo fiber, what it does is that it breathes better. When we wear it, we want, because what used to happen to is that because I was much bigger than this and muscular. Because I competed professional as a bodybuilder here in Canada. And I was about 180 something pound, and then I took off size because I had to compete at 152 for the trophy. And what I find is that my crotch started to rub.
Okay.
So it rubs and then the pants tear apart.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Right? So the frictioning and the chafing and all of those different stuff is happening because the legs rub together.
Okay.
So I found that using bamboo was a beneficial fabric to use because it helps with the durability, and it's a silky, soft material, and it expels the toxin when you sweat as well too.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So it's a very and it's also natural. It's a natural fiber material.
So it's eco-friendly.
So it's eco-friendly, right.
And is it only coming in like this? Does it come in boxers as well?
Yes, I have 7 different styles I have.
Okay.
So it's
And you've been doing this for the past 4 years. You've done a lot since 2011.
Yes.
Bodybuilding, training,
Publishing.
written a book,
underwear
I
line.
have a fitness line as well going as well too. So with the fitness line, which is 12-week body sculpting, what I do is that I go to people's house or they come to my studio because I have a studio that I train out of too as well. And plus I work with Amazon full time.
Wow.
Okay, you gotta tell me a secret.
Overachiever.
So,
which is really good. It's really good.
So as I said, I believe that any individual can achieve whatever they want.
Yes.
But when I look at the Wright brothers, when the Wright brothers created the airplane, right? There were many people told him that it could not have happened, right? When Thomas Edison created the light bulb, they also told him that it would never happen. And he said, if I fail 10,000 times, I'm gonna still try again because I'm gonna still going, right?
That's right.
And then Steve Jobs says, every person have 24 hours in their day, but it's what you do with your 24 hours.
That's right.
Right? That makes the difference.
Yeah.
So if you decide that, okay, you know what, I'm gonna wake up in the morning, I'm gonna sit around, I'm gonna wonder what am I supposed to do today. When already your calendar should have already full with 4 or 5 different things in a calendar, right? So for me, I take each day, like my week for next week is planned already. I'm so sorry, I was late.
No.
So
that is okay.
So
you came at the right time.
My weekends or my week are always planned ahead. So I know what I'm doing next week already.
Wow.
Right? So I have at least 4 to 5 days planned for next week already. Whether I'm gonna go all the way to Fairview Mall to go meet a client to personal train, or I'm gonna go to East to go meet with somebody else, or I'm gonna drive to Winston Churchill and Steeles to go work for Amazon for 4 days.
Right.
So
Wow.
in that I create my day or create my week schedule, right?
That's right.
And then just go according to that.
Okay.
When I wake up in the morning and my feet touch the ground, the first thing I say, God, thank you for today, because today is a great day, and everything in this day is for my highest good.
That's right.
So I make my affirmation, and after I make my affirmation, and I clear my head, center my thoughts, and try to remember what I had my dreams were about.
Yes.
Because I depend dearly on my dreams.
Yes,
Really?
they're visions.
Dearly
They're
on my
visions.
visions.
They're not dreams, they're visions, Andre.
They
They're
drive
visions.
me. My visions drive me.
Yes.
And I believe in 100%. So when I wake up and I find my dreams and my vision, and I was like, okay, and if I can't remember it, I leave it.
That's right.
Right? I leave it, and somehow during the day it's gonna come to me.
Yes.
What happened? And I go based on my mood. So my feelings drive how I feel.
Yeah.
So when I walk in here, it's the best of me. Me sitting here is the best of me you're
That's
getting.
right.
So there's no two sides to me, because I understand that there's one life one person is living. You're not living two different lives or two different experiences you're having, right? So that's what gives me energy to go on each day in doing each things, right?
Wow.
And I just believe in us as humans. I believe in us as humans. And when I realized, and I said, if the moon rise in the east and set in the west, the sun rise in the east and set in the west, the stars are always there. You know, the sun comes in the east, it sets in the west. There's something greater beyond all of this.
Of course.
Right? So if I believe that there is something bigger than this, I'm asking him, hello, what's happening here? Show me the way.
That's right.
Show me the way.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's just that's just my energy. That's
Okay.
that's just what
Cool.
I buy.
I love both of you, because both of you have such a strong sense of self, strong spiritual, and I think that comes from your discipline on the physical level. I know you have a transformative story as well in terms of your journey, mental health journey. We've touched on identity, we've touched on who we are, and just believing in who we are and the vision that we are given of our purpose in life and how to achieve that. Talk a bit about just the fortitude, the discipline, because I'm understanding that even sculpting your body, doing a business, just like the level of discipline and focus that it takes. Let me know how you've applied it in your life, Hilsa, as well as yourself. You can continue your story. How do you think those themes play in your life of wellness?
For me, number one, it's passion. You got to be passionate about what you do. And it has to come from within.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
I don't need to get paid for promoting health. I really and truly don't. Right? You understand? So that is my passion. That is my,
Give
that's
back.
Yes.
That's how I feel as well. I mean,
Right?
many people know my story, and I'm coming from the different continuum. I'm coming from illness to wellness. You know, with the Graves' disease and myasthenia gravis, my muscles were compromised, and it's all dealt with autoimmunity, attacking my thyroid and it growing, going through different storms, the nervous interruption of the nervous, and I'm sure I wasn't getting enough exposure, vitamin D. My whole body was out of whack. You know, I was super stressed out. My adrenal glands were completely gone, and my body shut down. Once I hit 40, it was oh my goodness, I was in a coma.
Wow.
I was in a coma for 3 days, and then I was in the hospital for 2 months. All of my muscles shut down, and I was under respiratory arrest because my lungs collapsed. and
I'm
didn't
glad
want
you're
to.
better.
Oh, me too.
I'm glad you're better.
Me too.
Yeah.
It took time though, and it took recovery. I had to learn how to walk and talk again. You have so many muscles that you don't even know. And for me, I have to pay attention to my involuntary muscles. So your eyelids, breathing, talking, swallowing. This takes all muscle movements that we kind of take for granted. It's not super intentional, but once the food is in your mouth, it automatically starts to work. My tongue, there's so many muscles that it takes to speak. I have a son on the spectrum, the autism spectrum, and he wasn't talking and walking and doing things according to the milestones, and we put him in therapy and everything when he was little. And now, me going at that at 40 years old, which that was in 2016, I was learning how it was like to be him, you know, being nonverbal, and then you're trying to demonstrate certain things, writing things down, learning the function, your motor development, the function of the mouth, walking. I didn't even know that your hips are really involved in walking. I used to like walk with a limp and I'm trying to get on the bus. It was just something else, even down to your rectal movements, going to the washroom, you know, came home, people was wearing diapers, you know, because all of my muscles had to start working again kind of thing. So for those who have myasthenia gravis, you might know my trials, you know, I'm on medication, but my diet has definitely improved. I've incorporated a lot of movement in my diet, because once you stop moving, your muscles just go into atrophy and all this kind of stuff. So it's to keep moving. So we all have different stories of wellness and why we champion the cause passionately. We live a different lifestyle. I feel like I've lived another life starting at 40. I think the life that I was living before was very corporate, very
I was going to say that.
You
had to be
I went to do a bang, because you're trying to live for your parents, you go to school, you did everything right, you hit all your milestones, but then is it really you? Is it your purpose? Is it your passion? And for me, it had to happen at 40. So, you know, I'm really thankful that we could share all of our stories of coming to wellness, of understanding not only our physical wellness, but our physical wellness and our mental wellness are attached.
Yes, it is.
They are truly attached. And if you're not feeding your body, especially the Black body, like I said, we go through so many struggles that are the same and are different from other people. And we have to understand how to be strong for that. And the way that we be strong is we have to love ourselves. Loving ourselves is feeding ourselves properly.
That's right.
Doing our affirmations,
That's
our meditations, our prayer, whatever discipline you're in, as well as
find a community too
find a community that supports
That's
you,
right.
and interact with your natural environment, whether that is walking outside, getting the sunshine, doing all the things that you have to do so that you can be well. So we're just gonna wrap up now because we're flowing into ghetto stories. And remember, ghetto is getting higher education to teach others. So before we go, we want to let people know where they can find the both of you.
All right.
So where can they find you, Hilsa?
Well, they can find me at my number, 647-764-2864.
Excellent. And she is a healthcare practitioner working for an international
holistic herbalist, detoxification, raw food nutrition,
many designations.
Expert.
And here is the product.
Yes.
Talk about the product a little bit. Vitamin D.
Vitamin D3 with the K2 plus the A. And this one here was created especially for us. But once again, as I said before, vitamin D3 is needs in every single cell of the body. Whether you're white, black, it doesn't matter. However, we, people of color, need it more than anything else. And one more thing before we wrap up. As we get older, we tend not to go outside.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what nationality, you know. So
it's just age-wise.
That's right. So we even need it even more.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you for that tip,
Yes.
Hilsa. I'm going to bring it over to you, Andre. Final words. Where can they find you? Any events, products, anything? Give us your information.
Well, if this recording goes out tonight, then of course you can find me at 120 Church, where I'm having my 40th birthday party. I'm closing out tonight with a bang. And of course, telephone number 647-858-4415.
Do you have any websites?
Yes,
Where can they,
my website is bunsofsteelbook.com for my fitness program.
Right.
My Instagram is roseandre9. My underwear is Steel by Andre Rose. And YouTube as well, which is Buns of Steel, and email is jamdownandre@hotmail.com.
I like that.
Check you. Well, we thank you so much for coming and kicking off our months of physical wellness in the Black community. We thank our audience for continuing to watch and listen to our programs as we bring you education and information about Black health in the African diaspora. So I've been your host, Giselle Wilson. Continue to listen to us and watch us on radioregion.com. Also, you can check us out on Facebook at Support Black Wellness Now. And lastly, on YouTube, you just click in the channel, Black Wellness. We will pop up and you can get more information. We'll leave all the links in the bottom so you could reach out to our guests and continue to check in every single week. We broadcast live from the Radio Regent studios from 7 to 8 p.m. every Saturday. So stay tuned and we'll touch base with you next week. Have a very good Black Wellness Saturday.
Yes.